The velvet ropes designed to deter the crowd hardly moved as she glided past them. A woman clad in a grease-stained jumpsuit, her face marked by streaks of oil, gazes intently at the engine. Protected. Marcus Whitfield's voice reverberated against the marble surfaces. The CEO advanced with purpose, the sound of Armani shoes striking the ground echoing like thunder. "Touch that again and I'll ruin your future, you factory worker." She remained unblinking. Instead, her hand, stained with dirt, pressed softly against the shiny surface. Silence enveloped the scene. Then an elderly mechanic inhaled sharply. A dad, inked, no doubt. That's her symbol. Not a soul stirred. Silence enveloped the room. As the truth entered the room, the engine they revered was not theirs. It belonged to her, and she had arrived to take it back. How would you respond if you were publicly humiliated in front of a large crowd? Would you stand your ground or quietly retreat? We'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. If you agree that everyone deserves respect no matter how they look, please give that like button a click. Every morning at 5:30, the alarm clock in Emma Carter's modest East Detroit apartment buzzed to life. She would get up, make coffee in a vintage percolator that had definitely seen better times, slip into her technician's coveralls, and head out, in her 2008 Ford Ranger, to Morrison's Auto Repair. Her colleagues recognized her as the reserved individual who was always the first to arrive and the last to leave, someone who repaired battered sedans and weathered pickups with the precise attention of a seasoned mechanic. Nevertheless, Emma had been employed there for just 3 years. Prior to that moment, no one was aware, and she never disclosed it. During lunch breaks, while others congregated to exchange tales and grievances, Emma found herself solitary, engrossed in intricate engineering textbooks that appeared to surpass the requirements of a mere mechanic. Jake, a young technician brimming with curiosity, leaned in closer to her as she studied a particularly complex tome on thermodynamics and propulsion systems. "Are you thinking about constructing a rocket or something similar, Em?" he inquired with a smile. Emma offered a faint melancholic smile and said, "Just keeping the mind sharp, Jake." What stood out about Emma was her unwavering rejection of progress. When old Morrison himself extended the offer for the shop manager position, having observed her pinpoint issues that eluded other mechanics, she graciously declined. She expressed her contentment with her current situation, and her sincerity was evident. Her evenings unfolded in solitude within that small apartment, filled with only the necessities and one locked room she never revealed to visitors, though there were rarely any. Occasionally, neighbors observed her with white lilies in hand on the 15th of each month, only to see her return hours later, her eyes red-rimmed, which she would attribute to allergies. This morning began like any other, until she caught sight of the news regarding Whitfield Industries' groundbreaking new engine launch. The RevolutionX, they dubbed it, heralded as the pinnacle of Marcus Whitfield's career. Emma's hands shook slightly as she perused the specifications, acknowledging each measurement, each innovation, every aspiration she had infused into those blueprints. She leaned closer to her coffee cup and whispered, "I must see it. Just one last time." The 45-minute drive to Whitfield Tower unfolded in a haze of recollections she had fought to suppress. She parked in the public lot, distanced from the valet service, and blended in with the maintenance crews, tidying up after the morning's exhibition. Upon finally laying eyes on it, her creation, the culmination of her efforts showcased like a prized possession behind luxurious velvet ropes, her heart raced with disbelief. The memories surged within her, overwhelming like a relentless wave, propelling her onward, guided by the weight of 5 years, filled with loss and yearning. The security guards remained oblivious to the presence of another maintenance worker, in coveralls until she had already crossed the barrier, her weathered hand brushing against the cold metal, as if it were a long-lost child she was finally embracing. Then Marcus Whitfield emerged, and her entire reality shifted. 5 years prior, Dr. Emma Catherine Hartley found herself in the secluded laboratory of Hartley Dynamics, the enterprise her mother Margaret had transformed from the ground up into a powerhouse of aerospace engineering. At 29, Emma was already transforming the industry, her long glossy brown hair framing a face lit by the spark of innovation in her bright eyes. "Mom, check this out," she exclaimed with enthusiasm, gesturing towards her computer screen. The new alloy boasts a compression ratio of 14:1, potentially enhancing efficiency by 47%. Margaret Hartley, a figure of great renown, beamed with the kind of pride that only a mother experiences when witnessing her daughter exceed her own remarkable accomplishments. That's my brilliance, girl. This engine is set to revolutionize everything. Emma dedicated 3 years to the RevolutionX project, a hybrid engine designed to power both cars and small aircraft with unmatched efficiency. 18-hour days in the lab became routine for her, frequently neglecting meals until Margaret would show up with takeout and soft reprimands. "Darling, you must find a world beyond these confines," her mother would insist. "This ISF, Mom would reply, hardly glancing away from her calculations, was so near to perfection. Then Marcus Wilson stepped into their realm, a senior engineer from a competing firm appearing to seek collaboration. Charming and eloquent, with a gaze that appeared to penetrate her lab coat and reveal the woman within, he had courted Emma with the persistence of a skilled pursuer. He had complimented her during their second dinner, saying she was not only brilliant but also beautiful. What's the reason for concealing oneself with goggles in grease? Emma, who had always prioritized her work over love, sensed an unexpected flutter in her heart. Their relationship advanced at a rapid pace, perhaps too rapid when reflecting back. Marcus displayed boundless curiosity about her work, probing into every detail, every calculation, consistently expressing a desire to grasp her perspective more fully. She had been so innocent, so open-hearted, so eager to connect her enthusiasm with someone who appeared to understand. The evening she had taken him to the lab after hours would linger in her memory for all time. "This is it," she whispered, revealing the finished prototype. "The ultimate iteration. My mother is completely unaware that I've completed it." Marcus embraced her tightly, murmuring softly into her hair. "You're destined to make a significant impact, Em." She awoke the following morning in his apartment, only to discover he was absent, and her phone was inundated with messages. The laboratory had been compromised. The prototype disappeared without a trace. Every one of her research computers has been completely erased, yet even more troubling events lay ahead. Evidence was fabricated to suggest that Emma had sold the technology to Whitfield Industries for $50 million. "Brad, please reconsider." Emma wept in her mother's office, witnessing Margaret's transformation as if a decade had passed in mere moments. "Mum, I need you to trust me." However, the proof was undeniable. Bank transfers, security codes, and even video footage manipulated with such skill that Emma herself could have been convinced. "Marcus, he's not the person he claimed to be," Emma had attempted to convey. Emma had whispered, "There is no Marcus Wilson at their company. We have verified." The whirlwind of attention that ensued was relentless. Headlines blared about the genius daughter who betrayed her mother's empire. Stock prices fell sharply. Investors abandoned ship. Hundreds of employees faced layoffs. 1 month later, Margaret Hartley fell to the floor of her office, struck down by a massive stroke. Her final words to Emma on the phone would resonate endlessly. "I absolve you, my daughter." Yet the world remains unchanged. Emma cradled her mother's lifeless form, overwhelmed by disbelief, rendered speechless by the weight of her grief. At the funeral, former friends gazed through her as if she were transparent. Relatives averted their gaze. The empire Margaret constructed fell apart as attorneys hovered like predators. Half a year later, Whitfield Industries unveiled their groundbreaking new engine, with Marcus, now disclosed as Marcus Whitfield, the CEO's secretly adopted son, recognized as its ingenious creator. Emma liquidated all her assets to repay what she could to her mother's business. She transitioned from a sprawling 10-bedroom mansion to a dilapidated apartment plagued by roaches in one of Detroit's most troubled neighborhoods. She officially adopted the name Emma Carter, cropped her hair to a short style, and eliminated every photograph of Dr. Hartley, keeping only a single one. A photograph capturing her and her mother on the day she first envisioned the concept of the revolution. She had vowed not to resist, a promise made to herself on that very first night of her new existence. Conflict resulted in the loss of my mother. I think I'll just fade away. Yet the engine lingered in her mind. Their offspring, the aspiration, Dave, her mother, currently donning another's identity. Curity Marcus's voice resonated once more in the present, pulling Emma back from her reveries. What level of incompetence do you possess? This mechanic just compromised a $50 million engine. Two guards surged ahead, seizing Emma's arms. She surrendered, her gaze fixed on the device that had taken it all from her. Hold on, Richard. Steinberg, the primary investor, advanced with the keen instinct of someone who sensed controversy. Allow me to behold her visage, spin her around. The guards turned Emma to confront the crowd, where countless phones lifted like offerings, their cameras eager for her disgrace, emotionally charged. Steinberg's lip twisted in revulsion. Observe. Her. Perhaps unable to indulge in a proper meal, yet still has the audacity to pursue greatness. Victoria Hayes, a seasoned journalist for TechWorld, navigated the throng with her microphone held out in front of her, ready to capture the moment. Mr. Whitfield, may I inquire about this woman? Is she an activist? A corporate infiltrator? Marcus chuckled. Go ahead and mention it, Lena said with a chuckle. Covert operative, observe her. Does this appear to be an individual who can grasp even fundamental engineering concepts? She might just be someone who wandered off course. The laughter of the crowd enveloped Emma, booming like thunder. A voice called out from the rear, urging to verify if she had taken anything. A new voice chimed in. Clear out your pockets, she could possess some tools. The security guards, fueled by the collective fervor, started to search Emma with a harshness that felt unwarranted. From the depths of the tattered wallet emerged $47, a set of keys belonging to her old truck, and a small photograph, each item steeped in stories untold. Marcus grabbed the photo just as Emma was about to object, his expression momentarily revealing a spark of recognition before he hastily tucked it away in his pocket. Simply garbage, he declared with a booming voice. Sir, Emma's voice finally broke through, raspy and soft. Please provide that photo. Oh, it speaks. Marcus spun around to confront the crowd, his expression one of dramatic astonishment. Yes, esteemed audience, the mechanic has something to say. Robert Chen, the head of Chen Automotive, moved with the confidence of a person accustomed to resolving issues effortlessly. Marcus, let's get serious. Contact law enforcement immediately. This constitutes an invasion of property and an effort to steal. Theft. Emma's voice trembled as she spoke the word. Di remained silent, but Victoria Hayes interrupted her. Do you really believe that your experience with cars gives you a grasp of innovation? This engine embodies 5 years of Mr. Whitfield's brilliance. Emma recoiled. Half a decade. Her 5 years. I understand, she murmured. Are you aware? Marcus's face turned a deep shade of crimson. Are you aware? What could you possibly understand? He moved in so close that Emma caught the scent of his cologne, the very same fragrance he had worn the night he had taken it all away. His voice fell to a hushed tone meant solely for her ears. Dr. Hartley. Emma's gaze locked with his, and for an instant the facade faltered. Marcus perceived not the shattered mechanic, but the remarkable woman he had obliterated. He whirled around to face the audience, his charismatic grin reappearing. This woman asserts she has knowledge of my engine. Should we evaluate her understanding? The audience erupted in cheers, reminiscent of fans at an epic showdown. Share with us, Steinberg taunted. What sets the RevolutionX apart? Emma held her tongue, her jaw tight with tension. Has the feline silenced you? Victoria chuckled. Or are you coming to the understanding that you might be in over your head? Dr. James Morrison from MIT observed with growing unease. He advanced, possibly intending to put an end to this harsh spectacle. Hey there, young lady. Are you familiar with what a compression ratio entails? The inquiry, so fundamental it felt, demeaning, caused a churn in Emma's stomach. Morrison pressed, I asked you a question. What is the definition of compression ratio? Emma recited the ratio of the volume of the cylinder and combustion chamber, when the piston is at the bottom to the volume, when the piston is at the top, her voice steady and precise. Morrison let out a derisive laugh. Information from Wikipedia, fares easily accessible through a simple search. Marcus clapped his hands in a sarcastic manner. Bravo, the monkey has the ability to read, yet his journey was far from complete. A phone call delivered a battered engine on a rolling cart, a relic from the 90s, corroded and unmistakably beyond salvation. If our guest has such a passion for engines, let's watch her tackle this challenge. In just 30 minutes, make the necessary adjustments and you will be set free. Failure leads to charges of trespassing, attempted theft, and destruction of property. Emma knelt beside the shattered engine, her fingers delicately exploring the broken parts. The piston lay twisted and unusable, the head gasket was utterly ruined, and the crankshaft bore a fine fracture that rendered it completely worthless. The tools supplied were intentionally unsuitable for the task at hand. This was not an examination, it was a performance. She rose gradually, her resolve sharpening. I am unable to do that. Naturally, that's not possible. Marcus's victory echoed through the air. Alert for security. I can, Emma asserted with renewed strength, due to the absence of the appropriate instruments. This requires a 3/8 torque wrench, not the half-inch you supplied. The gasket material is incorrect, and the individual who submitted this has caused a crack in the engine block. It cannot be repaired. It's worthless. The stillness that ensued was overwhelming. Dr. Morrison swiftly confirmed her evaluation, his demeanor transforming from skeptical to intrigued. She is correct. The block has a crack in it. Emma pivoted to exit, leaving the security guards momentarily stunned and unable to intervene. "Stop her!" Marcus shouted, but Emma had already come to a halt on her own. From her pocket she pulled out a small object, a piece of metal, polished and softened by countless touches over the years. "Mr. Whitfield," she declared, her voice now resonating with clarity and strength. "The RevolutionX exhibits a design flaw," the words struck with explosive force. "What is happening?" Marcus's voice trembled. "Cylinder 3, the heat dissipation algorithm presumes an ambient temperature of 72 degrees Fahrenheit. However, at 95 degrees, a common occurrence in summer, the pressure differential leads to microfractures." Marcus's complexion drained of color. "How could you even think of that?" Emma hurled the metal piece onto the stage. It fell at Marcus's feet, producing a unique sound that originates from the initial prototype, the one that was taken 5 years back. "Verify the serial number." Herr Tauser Dr. Morrison grasped it with hands that quivered unexpectedly, scrutinizing it through his jeweler's loupe. "This is the genuine prototype alloy before production. Each atom, each calculation, each dream infused into metal. The atmosphere exploded with chaos. Cameras pivoted erratically. Journalists clamored for answers, and Victoria Hayes cried out for security, declaring the situation a fabrication. Meanwhile, Emma approached the engine with the assuredness of one returning to a familiar place. "Review the code," she said with a serene demeanor. Within the central chamber, intricately laser-etched, you will discover MH219. Mom Morrison awkwardly handled the endoscope, inserting it into the core of the engine. The image loomed large on the expansive screen overhead, impossible to ignore. EMH2019 meeting of minds, previous Chief Innovation Officer at Hartley Dynamics, child of Margaret Hartley. Unbelievable. Marcus's face had shifted from a deep red to a striking purple. Emma Hartley has passed away. She vanished following the betrayal after being wrongfully accused, Emma clarified softly, by you. Marcus Wilson. Or perhaps I should refer to him as Marcus Whitfield. Einberg sprang to his feet. This is absolutely outrageous. Marcus, what does she mean by that? Emma ascended the stage, unexpected and unopposed, positioning herself next to her masterpiece. Her hand caressed the metal with boundless gentleness. 5 years ago I finished this design. Marcus captivated me, took everything I had, and then implicated me in corporate theft. My mother passed away under the impression that I had let her down. Falsehoods. Marcus retreated. There is no evidence to support that claim. Emma's smile carried a deeper sorrow than any tears could express. I'm confident without needing evidence. The engine stands as the evidence. She glanced over at Morrison. Execute the diagnosed mode code, Marguerite. Morrison's fingers trembled as he input the code. The display ignited with vibrant energy. Greetings, Dr. Emma Nun Chen. System activated by the originator. The stillness was complete. Emma maintained her serene tone. Each line of code, each and every parameter, they belonged to me alone. Marcus took the hardware without permission, yet he never grasped the essence of the soul. Chen snatched suddenly. If this holds true, it would mark the largest corporate heist ever recorded. Genuine phone, be quiet. Marcus searched awkwardly for his phone. I'm reaching out to my legal team. Reach out to them, Emma suggested softly. Before anything else, allow me to present something to everyone. Her fingers glided over the control panel, guided by the instinct honed through countless late nights. The displays overflowed with lines of code, design plans, mathematical computations, decades of effort exposed. 3,000 days of labor, 17 hours a day. Each equation crafted by my hand. Examine the metadata. Everything predates Marcus's arrival at Hartley Dynamics. Victoria Hayes, always quick to seize an opportunity, promptly changed her allegiance. Dr. Hartley, this is truly remarkable. Your story deserves to be shared with the world. Negative. Emma dismissed the notion with a shake of her head. The world has already listened for long enough 5 years ago. They embraced their own reality. Dinberg hurried ahead. Dr. Hartley, it would be a privilege for Steinberg Capital to support your return. State your fee. 50 million. 100. Emma's laugh was a whisper of sound. You all remained in place. Chortled, referred to me as a monkey. Enthusiast, no one. We were unaware. Chen attempted to insert his thoughts. Precisely. Emma interrupted him. You were unaware, leading you to believe I held no value. She gazed at Marcus, who remained motionless, his phone suspended midway. To his ear. I have no intention of taking legal action against you, Marcus. I refuse to reclaim what you have taken. Excuse me. Morrison found it utterly baffling. What is the reason? As Emma caressed the engine one final time, she whispered, This engine took my mother's life. The pressure, the treachery, the embarrassment. With each iteration it draws from her essence. She descended from the stage, security personnel clearing a path like a flowing river. Dr. Hartley, voices echoed in pursuit. Hold on, kindly. Emma lingered at the threshold, her back to the room. Are you curious about the true flaw in the RevolutionX? The atmosphere was thick with anticipation. It was constructed for a society that prioritizes appearance over authenticity, dominance over honesty, and avarice over aspirations. She crossed the threshold, made the necessary adjustments, and perhaps the engine would function as intended. Marcus finally discovered his voice, sharp with anxiety. There is no evidence to support your claim. I will defeat you once more. Emma turned then, and for the first time her smile illuminated her eyes. You already did, Marcus, 5 years ago, but there's one detail you seem to have overlooked. Excuse me. Engines can be reconstructed, more powerful, improved. The inquiry is, are you able to? Emma emerged from Whitfield Tower, greeted by the gentle rain that cleansed the oil from her face, offering a sense of redemption. Amidst the turmoil, Marcus struggled to articulate to the investors the undeniable truth. The woman they had just belittled was the genuine architect of his empire. Her phone buzzed relentlessly with unfamiliar numbers, journalists, attorneys, and those looking to take advantage. She switched it off and tossed it into a nearby trash can. In the parking lot, Jake lingered next to her worn Ford Ranger, his hands buried deep in his pockets. He observed everything on the live stream. He murmured softly, "Every part of the shop." Did Emma's smile carried a weariness, yet it was genuine. "It seems I'm in need of a fresh opportunity. Are you serious?" Jake's eyes glimmered with a sense of wonder. Old Morrison is nearly constructing a monument, expresses gratitude for the privilege of having a brilliant mind repairing transmissions in his workshop. "I'm not a prodigy, Jake, just a person who had a deep passion for engines." Jake presented her with a petite box. "I came across this in your locker and thought it might be of interest to you." Within lay a modest silver bracelet, etched with the phrase, "Dream big, love Mom." Then the tears fell, a torrent of 5 years' worth of grief, rage, and loss mingling with the rain. "What comes next?" Jake inquired gently, returning to the task of restoring classic Chevys. With steady hands, Emma fastened the bracelet, her gaze drifting to the tower that had witnessed the shattering of her life on 2 occasions. Negative. "I believe it's time to create something fresh, a creation that would make Mom beam with pride. Is this the upcoming Revolution X?" Negative. Emma gently shook her head, a subtle gesture that spoke volumes. A more refined option, something genuine. She sped off, her gaze fixed ahead, the tower diminishing in her rearview mirrors. The radio buzzed with urgent updates regarding the steep decline of Whitfield Industries' stock, yet Emma chose to silence it. She was already aware of everything. That needed to be said. At Oakwood Cemetery, she placed delicate white lilies on her mother's grave, kneeling in the damp grass. "I honored my promise, Mom. I refrained from fighting, avoided seeking revenge, and simply spoke the truth." The breeze murmured among the branches as if revealing a secret. "I will create once more, not for wealth, not for recognition, but because you inspired me to envision possibilities." The sun pierced the clouds as Emma navigated toward the horizon, where the promise of tomorrow awaited with its endless possibilities. Half a year later, a modest startup emerged in Detroit. Carter Innovations focused on providing budget-friendly engines for underserved communities. The CEO remained a figure shrouded in mystery, yet employees recounted tales of a woman who was intimately familiar with each person's name and worked side by side with them, repairing engines. Marcus Whitfield encountered a federal inquiry and subsequently lost his role. The Revolution X faced a recall because of the defect that Emma had previously cautioned against. Dr. Morrison issued a public apology. "I discovered that wisdom doesn't always don formal attire," yet Emma Carter remained unresponsive. She expressed what was essential to express. Certain victories are achieved not through force, but through grace. In a realm that evaluates based on surface impressions, keep in mind that hidden beneath tattered garments could be the soul of brilliance. Within the quiet, there may dwell remarkable power, and beneath the weight of humiliation may lie the subtle victory of truth. Would you find it in yourself to forgive if you were in her shoes? Retreat Claude is capable of errors. Kindly verify the responses with caution at the entrance.